Hello, my friends, and welcome to Studio de Heffrey. I'm Jeff Cavanaugh. It's nice to see you guys. A couple of things I want to do today. One, talk about the Cowboys' status as contenders and what it looks like. The pitfall that is their biggest issue. And a little preview of the Washington game. How does that sound for you? Sounds good? Sweet. Welcome to the Data Den, where I do have a couple of nerd things we'll use to talk about how good the Cowboys are or aren't right now and how they stack up with the best teams in the NFL. Call it a contender check in the Data Den. That's alliteration all over the place. And I do need to tell you guys that this presentation is brought to you by my friends at Bet Online. Cowboys are up to, is it 13, 12 and a half, 11 and a half, 13 and a half? There's a guy who's clearly clued in on the numbers. I'm saying 30-17 Cowboys, by the way. So, according to that, do what you will. Holiday season off and rolling. NFL's in full stride. You got your NBA and NHL in mid-season form. Bet Online, number one destination for all your sports wagering info, up-to-the-minute sports wagering news, odds, trends, predictions. It's the top spot for everything pro and amateur sports. They also got all the different things, MMA, international soccer, whatever you need. Head to Bet Online today. Use the promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Okay. Here's what you need to know, Cowboy fans. Your football team is very good. Your football team is good enough to win the Super Bowl. This is our weekly check on that. A couple of things that I like to do when it comes to talking about how good a football team is one, we watch them. And then some of us are dumb enough to go back and watch again on the little coaches film, if you pay for it on NFL Plus, which I do. And you get a feel for your team, right? You could look around and play with stats and say, oh, holy cow. According to Total QBR or Pro Football Focus, and I have a love-hate relationship. Love the stats, don't love the grades. But if you do, Dak's the number one graded quarterback in football. Total QBR is number 2 in football. You have a really good quarterback. You got a really good defense. You got a number 1 wide receiver. Holy cow, you're probably pretty good, right? So there's a couple of ways I like to measure how good teams are, which eliminates our biases and our pesky little eyeballs. One of them is just get the biggest sample size you can find, which is every play you've run this year. You don't want to do small sample sizes in football because they're already small. They only play 17 games. So if we take every play and we just say per play, how good do you do on an offensive play? How good do you do on a defensive play? I have a chart. Thank you, Ben Baldwin. This chart, the further your team's logo is to the right, the better you are on offense on a per play basis. The further you are up instead of down, the better your defense is on a per play basis. So the best contenders are in the top right. The Cowboys are on offense, San Francisco number 1, Buffalo, Miami fight for 2 and 3. Cowboys, 4th best offense in football on a per play basis. Defense, Cleveland number 1, Baltimore number 2, Dallas number 3. 4th best offense in football, 3rd best defense in football. That is a recipe for being a real-life contender. San Francisco first on offense, and 1, 2, 3, looks like 4 on defense, just ahead of Kansas City. That's a real-life contender. Philadelphia is the interesting one. They're winning all their games. You can't take that from them. They're just below average on defense and 5th on offense. So in a vacuum, in theory, using the numbers, the Cowboys are a better team than the Eagles, which doesn't matter because you got to play each other and you didn't win. They are 9-1 and you are 7-3. So that's not good. One more chart, and then we'll talk about why, while these things are important in telling you how good your team is, they don't matter if certain things don't happen. So what's good at predicting how good a team is? How good are you at offense and defense? Use the biggest sample size we can find. Get in the data den. Cowboys, top 4 offense, top 4 defense. Next, Vegas, not stupid. Why they get to build big buildings. Again, thank you to Ben Baldwin. This is every team in the NFL and how they would be favored by looking at point spreads against an average team. Dallas Cowboys, 4th best team in football. Your team is good. Your team is very good. Here's what sucks. You're in a division with the Eagles, and you forgot to score your last possession against them. So, biggest thing that is stopping the Cowboys from being a stronger Super Bowl contender. Math. Needed the Chiefs to beat the Eagles. That would have been very, very helpful because they didn't. This is just, obviously, you know the standings. The Eagles are 9-1. The Cowboys are 7-3. So, you got to make up 2 games. You got to get even with the Eagles, right? No problem. We can do that. Just go ahead and beat Washington tomorrow. And then Philly is in the middle of their gauntlet. And this week it is in the middle of the gauntlet. And they have the Bills. And then they have the 49ers. You need the Eagles to lose at least one of those games. But I think more realistically, Cowboy fan, you need them to lose both of those games. And then you need to beat them. You need a 3-game losing streak from the Eagles. Because that would put you a game ahead of them as opposed to tied with them. Here's what happens if you're tied with the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is why math is not our friend. This is why winning Super Bowls is really hard. Because you just take little bitty things that add up. Marquez Valdez-Scantling not catching a touchdown. Eagles have a win instead of a loss. Cowboys farting against the Cardinals. Cowboys have a loss instead of a win. Cowboys getting down to the 6-yard line and pooping on themselves against the Eagles. Cowboys have a loss instead of a win, right? All these little tiny things that if you're not in a division with another one of the best teams in football, you can maybe get away with. Because what we want is home field advantage in the playoffs, and what we really want is a bye in the playoffs. Because you know a good way to not lose on the first weekend of the playoffs? To not play. That's the goal. That goal is really, really tough. Because the Eagles are up by 2 games, right? Now, we can fix that because of the schedule that they have. I think they're both home games. I'd say it's likely the Eagles will lose one of their next 2 games. And then if you could just beat them at home, bam, we're tied back up, baby, and we split the season series. Well, the Cowboys have a harder schedule going out, and tiebreakers are not going to be your friend, I don't think. Tiebreakers in the NFL for winning a division. Head-to-head, which would be a push if you beat them. Division games, which would be a push if you both go 5-1. And the next one, common opponents. Ready? Here's common opponents for the Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. You both beat the Patriots already. You both beat the Rams already. The Cowboys beat the Jets. The Eagles lost to the Jets. So right now against common opponents, Cowboys are 3-0, Eagles are 2-1. You're winning the tiebreaker. But Cowboys lost to the Cardinals. The Eagles haven't played them yet, but they will. They'll probably win. Cowboys lost to the 49ers. Eagles play them later. We'll see. Maybe at that point, you guys are both 2-1, and then you're going to add in the Cowboy 2 losses, and if you can get the Eagles to go 1-1 there, now you're even on the tiebreakers. The Eagles already beat the Dolphins. Cowboys still have to play them. That ain't a gimme. And then both still have the Seahawks and the Bills on the schedule. So, if you want to drop this scenario, this team is good enough to win the Super Bowl. You have good enough quarterback play. You're top 4 on both sides of the ball. You're a very good football team. You're good enough to win the Super Bowl. But because of all the little moments that add up to your current record, you need to outplay the Eagles in just these games. And you need help. Cowboys need to end with the same record as the Eagles, and you need to have a better record against these teams because the other tiebreaker, if you were to make this one a tie, is you then go to conference games, and the Eagles are currently undefeated in games against the NFC. They are 6-0. Cowboys against teams in the NFC are 4-3. Yeesh. So your team's good enough, but math is not your friend. We need help, Cowboy fans. We need help. Onward we go. Washington Commanders preview. The Commanders are not, I'm going to say this, they're not a pushover. They're not Carolina. They're not the Giants. And I know this doesn't make any sense because the Giants just beat them. But that doesn't matter. This is football. We throw it all away, and it's a new week. Man for man, Washington has a better roster than the Panthers or the Giants. If I just go to their team and you say, tell me about the Washington Commanders, I would tell you, defensive line, not bad. Interior, quite good. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. Secondary, not bad. Kind of good. Fuller's a really good corner. I think Emmanuel Forbes will be, but right now, you probably go at him, rookie. Benjamin St. Juste, he's okay. Curl and Butler, their safeties, they're okay. At linebacker, Mayo and Davis, they're okay. They're not bad. Weapons, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Brian Robinson as a running back. It's not bad. Pretty good. Offensive line, 3 of the 5 guys up there. Not bad. Pretty good. Left guard and center. Not good. But they have a rookie quarterback. A rookie quarterback who holds the ball too long, and sometimes that leads to bad decisions, and sometimes that leads to getting sacked. This is why I think they're going to be in trouble. It's going to come down to Sam Howell and how you can protect against the Cowboys, especially if the Cowboys get a lead, which is why I think Vegas is dead on the number. I think it'll be around a 13 to 15-point win for the Cowboys because I do think they'll get a lead. And then eventually Sam Howell will be in trouble because Micah Parsons will be going after their center and their left guard, and he will get home again a couple of times, and that's what's going to happen. But they're not a bad team. If the Cowboys have a turn it over twice and don't take the ball away, you can lose to the Commanders. They gave the Eagles 2 real football games. They turned it over 6 times against the Giants last week, but you can't worry too much about one week. You got to worry about what you got in front of you. What you got in front of you is the Commanders, and they're not awful. They're not awful. They're a decent low roster. They just got a quarterback that's real iffy. But you might catch him on one of his good weeks. You might. It's not a gimme. You're going to have to play this one. This is not the Panthers. This is not the Giants. Washington's a different story. But I do think the Cowboys will win. Anyway, that's some stuff from me to you. Happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble. Go Cowboys. And enjoy it. Remember, this is brought to you by BetOnline. And remember, you have no idea what anyone's going through, so be cool to everyone. I love you. Be easy.